There's been a lot of talk and speculation about our team lately. Rumors of big trades are everywhere, all with the goal of turning this team around. So today, I'm here to break down everything happening behind the scenes with the Atlanta Falcons and keep you in the loop. And hey, if you still believe that one day we'll see our team lift the Super Bowl trophy, hit that like button. All right, let's jump right in because things are heating up fast. After weeks of rumors, Kirk Cousins has now become a possible backup plan for the New York Giants after they missed out on Matthew Stafford. Yes, you heard that right. The Giants were seriously trying to land Stafford. Some insiders even believed he would end up in New York. But as we now know, Stafford decided to stay with the Rams, even agreeing to take slightly less money instead of chasing a massive $50 million per year deal. So where does that leave the Giants? Their quarterback situation is still a big question mark. Daniel Jones was released mid-season, and now they're searching for their next franchise QB. Many believe they might target Cam Ward from Miami or Shadir Sanders from Colorado in the draft. But ESPN's Dan Graziano is throwing out another name, Kirk Cousins. Yes, the same Kirk Cousins who signed a massive 4-year, $180 million contract with the Falcons last offseason. But let's be honest, his time in Atlanta hasn't been great. He lost the starting job to rookie Michael Penix Jr. in Week 14, and since then, it's been clear that his future with the team is shaky. Cousins finished the season with 3,358 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, and a career-high 16 interceptions. His 88.6 passer rating was the worst in any season where he started at least 14 games. That's not the kind of performance you want from a quarterback making that much money. And now, things are getting even more interesting. Graziano reports that the Falcons are expected to move on from Cousins soon. If that happens, what's next? Stay tuned, because this could change everything. The Giants could sign Kirk Cousins on a team-friendly veteran minimum deal. This would allow them to draft a young quarterback and let him develop while Cousins acts as a bridge starter. But would that actually be a smart move for the Giants? Let me know in the comments. All right, but we're not done yet because the Falcons are making headlines in draft discussions too. According to Vinny Iyer of Sporting News, Atlanta is eyeing a defensive lineman with their first-round pick. Now, most of us expected them to go for an edge rusher, since that's been their biggest weakness. But here's the twist. There could be major changes coming to their defensive line this offseason, including the possible release of longtime fan favorite Grady Jarrett. I know. It's hard to picture the Falcons' defense without Jarrett. He's been the heart and soul of this unit for years. But here's the reality. He's turning 32 right after the draft, and with the Falcons looking to clear cap space, he could be on the chopping block. If that happens, Atlanta will need a replacement sooner rather than later, and that's where Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant comes in. Iyer's latest mock draft has the Falcons selecting Grant at number 15 overall, standing at 6'4", 331 centimeters with 33.5-inch arms. Grant has the size, strength, and athleticism to dominate at the next level. He missed combine workouts due to a hamstring strain, but scouts are already excited about what he'll show at Michigan's Pro Day on March 21st. NFL.com's Lance Zierlein notes that Grant has some inconsistencies in his game, but his raw power and athleticism stand out. His college stats prove he can be a force, 6.5 sacks in the last 2 seasons, plus a solid 2024 season with 32 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 5 pass defenses, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 sacks. Here's the deal. If the Falcons cut Grady Jarrett, they save over $16 million against the cap. If they also cut David Onyemata, that's another $8 million saved. So will the Falcons take a bold step and reshape their defensive line? Keep watching, because this offseason is about to get very interesting. Right now, the Falcons are $5.3 million over the cap, which means some tough decisions are coming. Even if they decide to keep Grady Jarrett, going after a defensive tackle early in the draft makes sense. They need to start thinking about the future of their defensive line. So Falcons fans, there's a lot to discuss. Will Kirk Cousins end up in New York? Should the Falcons move on from Grady Jarrett and draft Kenneth Grant? Or should they focus on an edge rusher instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But that's not all. The Falcons are also preparing to lose center Drew Dalman in free agency. According to ESPN's Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler, the Falcons would love to keep Dalman, but they know he could get a bigger paycheck elsewhere, and honestly, it's easy to see why. Dalman has quietly become one of the best centers in the league, especially in the run game. He's hitting free agency at the perfect time, and teams are willing to pay big money for a guy like him. NFL insider Greg Rosenthal even suggested that Dalman could get around $20 million per year. Yes, you heard that right. $20 million per year for a center. That kind of money makes it hard for the Falcons to compete, especially when they have other key positions to fill. So what's the plan if Dalman walks? It looks like the Falcons are ready to turn to Ryan Neuzil. He stepped in last season when Dalman was injured and did a solid job. The good news? Neuzil is a restricted free agent, meaning Atlanta can bring him back more easily. Will they trust Neuzil as the long-term answer, or will they look for another option? Stay tuned, because this offseason is shaping up to be a wild one. Bringing back Ryan Neuzil would come at a much lower cost than trying to match Drew Dalman's potential contract offers. Given the Falcons are already $5.3 million over the cap, according to Spotrac, they have to make smart financial decisions. If Dalman lands a massive deal elsewhere, the Falcons will likely invest that money into other key areas, especially the defense, where big upgrades are already in the works. A major defensive shakeup? There's another big decision looming: Grady Jarrett's future. Jarrett has been the heart and soul of this defense for years, but at 32 years old and with a $16+ million cap hit, the Falcons could decide to move on. If they do, they'll need a replacement fast. The latest mock drafts have them targeting Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant at number 15 overall. Who is Kenneth Grant? Grant is an absolute beast, standing at 6'4", 331 pounds, with insane athleticism for his size. He wasn't able to showcase his skills at the NFL Combine due to a hamstring injury, but scouts are excited to see him at Michigan's Pro Day on March 21st. He's considered a top 3 defensive tackle in the 2025 draft class and could be exactly what Atlanta needs to rebuild their defensive front. If the Falcons move on from both Jarrett and David Onyemata, they'll free up a ton of cap space, and adding a young, dominant DT like Grant could be a game changer. A lesson from the Braves? Now let's switch gears for a second to the Atlanta Braves. I know we're here for Falcons news, but trust me, this is worth mentioning. Last offseason, Braves GM Alex Anthopoulos made a trade that had fans scratching their heads. He sent fan-favorite prospect Michael Soroka and a few others to the White Sox for Aaron Bummer, a reliever coming off a rough season. But guess what? That trade is now looking like one of the best moves of his tenure. Bummer bounced back in a big way, posting a 3.14 ERA and becoming one of Atlanta's most reliable bullpen arms. Meanwhile, the players the Braves traded away haven't done much for Chicago. Smart moves win championships. This is exactly the kind of strategic thinking the Falcons need to get back on track. Losing Dalman will hurt, no doubt, but if Atlanta can reinvest in the defense and make the right draft picks, they'll be in great shape for the future. Now it's your turn. Falcons fans, how do you feel about losing Dalman? Do you trust Ryan Neuzil to step up as the new center? Should the Falcons draft Kenneth Grant to rebuild the defensive line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Falcons updates. Go Falcons!